I know it's been quiet for a couple of weeks on a grateful hearth. That's because we've been navigating the inspection process. So, the process of buying a homestead has been an adventure. At times it feels like a roller coaster. I know it's been a little while since we put a video together, but that's been because it's been quite a busy time between things like painting and actually packing. We've also had to work through the process of the actual home buying. So, typically when you think about the whole home buying process, you've got the contract and, once the contract's accepted, you got to go through the mortgage stuff. The mortgage then gets to a place where they do valuation and things like that. And then there's always the inspection. And Lauren and I have had a fantastic time. We've got the mortgage squared away and the inspection came up and we said, hey, look, this is an 8-year-old house. So we should be fine. Unfortunately, things didn't go as well as we had hoped. Even though it is only an 8-year-old house, it is a house in a rural area. Rural house, a homestead, tends to have a bit more wear and tear. It tends to require a little bit more investment in the time and the maintenance to continue to maintain that house and keep it in good shape. And some of the animals that you have, even things like dogs. Like imagine you have a livestock dog. If your larger livestock dog starts digging a hole and then that hole's not taken care of, it can cause moisture damage, or it could affect a pasture, or there's any number of effects. Unfortunately, there were some of those elements that came up when the inspection happened. As I sit here and we kind of talk about it, we had to go, really quiet for a little bit, just to give ourselves and the other party a chance to work through some of these things. And thankfully, the sellers have been fantastic to work with. Their realtor has been very reasonable and helped them from an advisory perspective. Our realtor's been able to help us understand what our options are and talk about some things. Unfortunately, there were some things with the HVAC. There were some items related to moisture. And, one of the things I really didn't think about, and I probably should have, is radon. We're buying a ranch style that's got a significant basement, and I'm actually recording this in our current basement as we're doing the packing and stuff. And this property, this house, is actually on a real foundation. So under my feet is a crawl space. It's not on a concrete slab, and because it's got a nice crawl space, from the moment that this house was built in 2015. We've been able to put a fan on one end and an intake on the other end, and then draw air throughout under the house and exhaust it outside of the house. The radon numbers for this house are extremely low because that's been running literally since the day it's been built, and we have complete access underneath the foundation to be able to do something like that, because the foundation here are pillars, right? It's not a slab that's going to hold some of that radon gas and all those sorts of things in. In that house, it is a concrete slab. And so if you're not mitigating that, if you're not moving air around, even something like using a fan to pull air up out of the sump pit could be enough to actively mitigate radon. And without that active mitigation, in 2012, when that house was built, you weren't necessarily required to put in things like that. By the time we got to late 2015, some of those things were expected in this area. If somebody went to buy your house, they're not going to buy it without expecting some sort of radon mitigation. So when the radon testing was done as part of the inspection process, unfortunately, that was definitely recognized as a miss. And so between some issues with the HVAC and the moisture and the radon, we were very nervous for several days, almost a week. Are the sellers going to work through this? Are they going to be willing to put in some of these mitigations? Our family, of course, sees it as, health and safety, so to speak. You want your family to move in, and great, you're going to get a pasture and you're going to have a barn, and you have all these plans that are going in your head, right? We've already got ideas on the garden and the chicken coop, but we also homeschool, and the kids are going to be in that basement all the time. And I still work full time, so I've got to have a safe place for myself to work that's also going to be in that basement. So it really was kind of this, screech as the brakes got hit in the buying and selling process. And the fantastic thing is, a week later, we've been able to work with the seller. We've been able to work those things out. And so now we're shifting gears. Appraisal's been taken care of on both selling this house and buying that house. The inspection's been taken care of both on this house and that house. At this point, it's about the money and about getting clearance to close. And as soon as we have that, we're going to be looking forward to a brand new house. But in the process of packing, we've already identified some projects that we really didn't think about up front and that have nothing to do with our garden or chickens. Let's take a look. One of the amazing things we've been blessed with in our current house is plenty of space to be able to do things like this. Lauren worked really hard today, and we were able to go through the shelves, and many boxes later, all of our books were packed up. We study the Bible. I have a number of computer books from my work in information technology and information security. We have a number of books because we teach our kids primarily here in the home, and we really encourage reading. So our children have each of their book collections that are appropriate for their age, in addition to kind of a library of books that we keep on hand for things like guided reading. And as we look at moving into the new property, one of the things that we've had to start to look at is, where do these shelves go? And are we going to have to build new shelves? But that's not the only storage consideration we've got to work out. We've mostly pulled the things out of our storage area, so the shelves behind me are fairly bare, and you actually can't see it actually continues. But all of our storage here is going to have to move as well. So we've been very fortunate to have this cold storage room with these nice sturdy shelves. We're going to take the shelves with us. It looks like we'll probably end up doing more storage in the garage than the basement, because we'll be making more use of the basement in the new house as one of our primary storage areas. And that gets us to one of the most important projects that's popped up in recent days. One of the biggest investments we made in our current house was a wet bar and pantry space down here in the basement. And part of that was for resale, but part of that was also for practical storage. This is where a lot of our bulk food and additional storage is. This is the buffer that gave us some cushion as COVID started to take hold in the supply chain. It's been a great boon and a blessing to our family, but this doesn't exist in our new house. So one of the early projects that we're looking at, we're thinking about as we move into the new house is, do we recreate this? Perhaps with IKEA cabinets, or these particular cabinets are from a company called Diamond. And Diamond does a number of cabinets that you can order through outlets like Lowe's or through cabinet makers. What do you think? Should we put pantries in the new house? Should we go with something from IKEA just to get the storage space quickly? Or should we take the extra time and the extra expense to do larger cabinets, custom cabinets like these here? Let us know in the comments below, and stay tuned as we get closer and closer to landing in the new homestead. A tour coming soon.